Friday. What's everybody doing? It's Friday, the 26th of September. Time is ripping along. Hope everybody's got something fun planned for this weekend, if it's weekends that you do your thing. I really hope and pray that everybody's got something that feeds their soul the good stuff coming up this weekend. Hope so. Now, what do I got going on here? It's Friday afternoon. Shitty sleep last night, damn it, I hate that. I hate having bad sleeps. Ugh. Up at 3, up at 4. Ugh. I was supposed to leave today, but putting off another day, unfortunately. Hopefully I will be out of here first thing in the morning. Who knows, maybe even later on tonight. We'll see. I'll keep you updated on that. And what else? Quick news I got forwarded to me. Apparently, Elon Musk has come up with a smartphone that hooks up to the internet anywhere you are in the world via Starlink. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? That means live streaming with ease from the middle of frickin' nowhere. Holy cow, could I have fun with that, with some of the stuff I do. What else? Quick note. I just saw an urgent posting by Candace Owens. I don't know, I mean, obviously there's going to be some people that they're going to hate her. Some people are going to love her. Whatever floats your boat. My gut says she's absolutely authentic. That's just me and my gut. I've been wrong before, but I don't think I'm wrong about Candace Owens. Anyway, I mean, sure, I may disagree with her on a handful of things, or I may agree with her on a handful of things. You know what I mean? That's okay. But anyway, she's come out with a very, very urgent post today, claiming that she has receipts, contacts, absolutely certain that the kid she feels being framed to be the shooter of Charlie Kirk, and he was nowhere near that crowd and had never been on that campus ever before when the shooting went down. And they don't have any photos or video evidence of him being around or near there. Right? And she also stresses that he is not suicidal, and she stresses that the father did not turn him in. And it's all a great big ruse. How creepy is that? We'll see where this goes. But anyway, she felt she needed to urgently get that message out to the world. So, I shared it in case you have interest and you want to look at everything from all different angles instead of how you were told to look at things, right? What else? Check out this photo here. This photo has been sent to me now this week, I believe, 8 or 9 times. Each time it's been sent to me, it's been sent via a friend of mine in Arkansas took the picture, a friend of mine in Missouri took the picture, a friend of mine in Georgia took the picture. Anyways, I believe the picture has been sent to me with people giving the source and location of the photo. Yeah, I think it's been about 6 different states. Now one photo. So, which one's the illegitimate? I don't know. Haven't a clue. Was it even in the United States? It looks like familiar timber and brush to me that fits the U.S. somewhere in North America. Anyway, there you go. Haven't a clue who the actual original photographer is. I don't know. It's a mystery. But it's been sent to me a pile of times. But it's either way, that's definitely not a cat that I would enjoy having a stare down with in the woods. But if I had to, whatever. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone being attacked and mauled to death by a black apex cat, large cat in North America. Have you guys? Have you guys heard of that? I mean, cougars do enough damage as it is. There's big cats everywhere I go, so it doesn't really freak me out, but it would be kind of crazy to have that cat right there in that photo staring you down and not showing any fear at all. That'd be a little concerning, especially if you're unarmed or staring down some kids in the backyard. That'd suck. But that shit goes on all the time. Children, unfortunately, have been killed many times in just the province of British Columbia. Numerous children have been killed by black bears and cougars, and every single time those two predators attacked, it was to make a meal out of them. End of story. No other reason for it. So that's pretty creepy. You know, grizzly bears on average, they're beating you up to teach you a lesson. or they feel threatened. But rarely does a grizzly bear stalk a human being to specifically eat it. You know, and I've got video. I showed you guys video of that black bear that did a circle around me, and that little sleazy bastard, he wasn't just circling me to get my wind. He'd been following me and walking around me for a while, blatantly, without any brush in between us. He knew exactly what I was, and maybe he felt my energy was about to pull the trigger on him, and that's when he decided, oh, I'm out of here. But that is exactly what they do. They come up, they side, I call it side eye. They side eye you when they're thinking about sizing you up. And that little bastard was side eyeing me up. And he was probably about, I'd say, 15 seconds away from dying when he decided to turn. So maybe felt my energy go to kill. I don't know. And take note, the only other time I've had a predator intentionally looking to kill me, to eat me, was a black bear. Possibly another time with a grizzly bear. I'm not sure what his motive was, but he was definitely up to no good. Another story. But anyway, what do we got? Last chat was on the last True Talk episode. It has some super kind people on there, very enthusiastic and quite chatty. Quite chatty, but there's a lot in there shared, and I think I will get them back on, and who knows, maybe we'll get Eric on and give him a turn to hog the mic and see what he's got to say and learn some more, you know? I already told them I would be contacting them again, getting ready to do round 2 after they watched the video, and may have had some holes and gaps they wanted to fill in, you know? Now, what do we got here? Fresh out of the box. Hey, Steve, my name is Max, and I was born in and spent my first 20 years in Alaska. Lucky you, man. I've been watching your videos since the grizzly stories. I love the one where its neck was broken. It was still trying to crawl towards you with its nose tucked to its butt. Crazy. Yeah, that was frickin' insane, man. That was an insane 1 in a million day. I remember when you first started posting Bigfoot videos. And I was thinking something along the lines of, oh man, I respect this guy and now he's talking about Bigfoot. And people were saying your backgrounds were a green screen and stuff, and I'll admit, I not only started to doubt you, but pretty much wrote you off. Just checking in to see the status of your channel every once in a while, but for the last 3 or so years, I've gotten deep into Sasquatch content and stories, and I honestly no longer feel safe in the woods. That sucks. I can't have a firearm for legal reasons, not violent or drug related. That sucks too, especially living in Alaska. And I know you hate to hear that, but without a firearm, I'm not going in the woods. But I just want to give you my experience watching your channel grow and change. Maybe other people felt the same way, but came around. Either way, just wanted to admit my mistakes in doubting you. There are few people I believe on this subject, and you're one of them. All right, man, appreciate that. Appreciate that, Max. It takes a big person to admit they may have not been correct. And that's okay. That's how we go through life. We have to be wrong to get right and do better. You know what I mean? And I'm glad you could see through to the truth and go with your gut, because believe me, Max, I didn't ask for this one. I did not ask to see that thing staring at me. But I saw it. Didn't ask for it. And I'm sure you've learned by now, there isn't a human being big enough to make me change my story. Not gonna happen. You put a gun to my head, not gonna happen, because it's truth. Right? Anyway, appreciate that email. Yeah, we've had quite a few people email in and say, hey, you know what? I was one of the worst ones for coming here and stirring the pot. And then all of a sudden either they had an experience or somebody they trusted. But that's okay. It goes to the turf. Glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate news hearing that you can't go in the woods anymore. That really sucks. You should at least be able to go fishing somewhere. You know? Now, everything's fresh out of the pan, meaning very recent. Today. And this email is titled, Sighting on Cedar Hill. Hi, Steve. My name is Ted. I've been enjoying your channel the last few months, and I thought I'd share a secondhand story with you and others here. About 10 years ago, I bought a small parcel of land, 1 acre, and I put a cabin on it. My place is on the edge of the Ozark National Forest and is less than a mile from a 14,000-acre WMA that is along the border of Conway and Van Buren County in Arkansas. There are watershed lakes in the area that were built to use as water source during a forest fire event as well. Deer hunting this area consists of bow hunting the refuge, firearm by drawing permit only, or in the national forest itself. I grew up hunting this area as a teenager and through my 20s. This is an area that came to be known as part of the Fayetteville Shale natural gas deposit a few years before I purchased my property. Several companies were drilling on pads, setting up compressor sites, and building a pipeline to connect it all across 6 counties. All of this work created wildlife corridors throughout the area. Now to the actual incident. I have 3 employees I take to deer hunt there each year on the opening weekend of modern gun season. All 3 were there, and Matt was the one that had the experience. This was the second week in November 2017, being public land. It's always good to have several areas to place a stand or a blind, as it's first come, first served for a spot to hunt, even though the forest is huge. Matt chose a spot that we have taken deer from before. This spot required a ground blind, and Matt set it up the afternoon before opening morning. This particular spot is along the drainage that makes its way down to one of the major creeks of the area out of what was a large area, 100 acres, of nothing but cedar tree thicket bordered on all sides by a mixture of hardwoods and pine. If you were to look at a map, it's called Cedar Hill. The cedar trees were thinner along the drainage itself. Matt set his blind up in the cedar drainage about 80 yards from the edge where the hardwoods met the cedars. That evening, as the last hour of daylight arrived, Matt heard something making its way up the hill out of the creek bottom coming toward him at the cedar thicket. Matt thought it might be another hunter because it sounded like it was on 2 legs. After a few minutes, he caught movement in the distance, but no longer heard the sound of movement through the brush and woods, and he spotted no hunter orange at any time. So he threw his scope up to see the area where he saw the movement to get a better look. And what he saw at 80 yards through a 3x9 scope shocked him to the core. He said he was able to see the top of a shoulder, a huge bicep, a forearm, and what he guesses was the thigh portion of a leg sticking out from behind a very large hickory tree. All of it was covered with black hair with silver highlights, and the shoulder and arm were glistening in the little bit of sunlight that was hitting it at just the right angle. As we later found out when he retrieved his blind, the shoulder was over 6.5 feet off the ground. We measured it. Matt was dumbfounded and dropped his rifle down in disbelief. When he threw it up again, whatever was there was gone. He listened intently, but heard nothing for a few minutes until he started seeing the tops of 20 to 25 foot trees swaying as whatever it was made an arc around him, staying just out of the cedars, but moving through the hardwoods with very little noise in the leaf litter / cedar needles. By this time, shooting light was pretty much gone, but he could still hear it snapping smaller limbs as he exited his blind, and it made its way through the thicket. He had a quarter-mile walk past where it had been. Back out to his truck in the dark. He had a quarter-mile walk past where it had been, back out to his truck in the dark, and was scared shitless the whole way. Been there. Matt was the last one to return to camp that evening. We already had a fire going in the fire ring when he rolled in. He looked agitated and wouldn't talk to us when he came down to the fire, so we started messing with him about shooting a buck, but not being able to find it. We offered to go back with lights and help him track the deer, and he still wouldn't talk to us. So we kept razzing him a little until he yelled, "No! I'll tell you what happened." We shut up and he began telling us how it all went down. He was really freaked out. The next day I had to go back with him to retrieve his blind because he wouldn't go back alone. A few days later I talked Matt into reporting his sighting to the Finding Bigfoot people, as I've been looking into Bigfoot after years of finding tree twists and breaks and stick structures. And once, while hunting a remote area I'd never been to before, I found a 20 by 30 spot where hickory nuts were on the forest floor 4 to 5 inches deep. Wow. There was a large stone in the center of the spot with broken hickory nutshells all over and around it. Hickory nuts don't fall from trees to the ground like that, and the last time I checked, squirrels don't crack hickory nuts on 70-pound chunks of sandstone. The Finding Bigfoot people put us in touch with one of their local investigators, and he told us there were other ongoing investigations in our general area. After Matt relayed his story to the investigator, he gave the investigator pin drop locations of the sighting, and he said he would look into it and get back with us. And that was the last we heard from the investigator. Thank God. Fast forward a month and a half later, the U.S. Forest Service came in and wiped out that entire 100-plus acre cedar thicket. You know what? Just in case anybody might have missed the significance in that one, let me read that again. After Matt relayed his story to the investigator, he gave the investigator a pin drop locations of the sighting, and he said he would look into it and get back with us. That was the last we heard from the investigator. Fast forward a month and a half later, the U.S. Forest Service came in and wiped out that entire 100-plus acre cedar thicket. They cut it to the ground, kept none of the wood, and pulverized every last twig with a forestry machine. It was a 2-foot deep mulch pile that spanned 100 acres, and they never replanted it with anything. What the F? Cedar Hill was and is no longer a Cedar Hill. I hunted that hillside when I was 14 to 15 years old, and I'll be 60 next month. It's always been covered with cedars. I mean, that's how the location got its name on the map. Things that make you go, Maybe I have my tinfoil hat on too tight, but it sure doesn't seem like this was just a coincidence. Your channel's awesome. Keep it up, brother. Thanks, Ted. Ted, I absolutely appreciate that email. Big time. Especially the note of what happened after reporting it to, I'm not saying they all are, but I know there's a pile of douchebags associated with that group of whatever you want to relate it to them as. And you know what? There's a pattern there. You hear that noise next door? Neighbor's doing some building. Anyway. Holy shit. What is that? It's loud. Hope it's not too loud for you guys. But anyway, there is a pattern there, all right? I don't know who exactly is the very absolute wrong people to report anything to, but I know there's a handful there. Holy. I'll be back in a second. All right, back to peace and quiet outside. Thank God. Anyways, appreciate you sending that in, man. It's a great heads up for a lot of people out there, you know? That's a good heads up. How many times has that happened? It's a pattern. It's a pattern. What do we got here? We got a long one. I'm going in. Mark this as red. Wild and Not So Wonderful Encounters from West Virginia is the title of this email. Howdy. This is my first encounter, but I will also try to send some pictures and audio if that's okay, or if it lets me. I've accumulated a lot this past year, and it's really weird to me. I believe there definitely is a major reason for it, though. It started with DM. Oh, I think he meant Dogman, and then months later, BF took over the scene. Those two encounters may be more mind-blowing because of all the details in between and the evidence I've collected. Thank you, good sir. Chris, DM encounter, June 27, 2024, 1 a.m. to 5:36 a.m. Full story, longest night of my life. Wow. All right, sorry, what is this? My neighbor is building a long gravel road right on the other side of my fence, and he's got a pickup truck ripping around with a big cylinder Probably full of something to flatten it out. He's ripping around the property over there. That's what it is. Now, hopefully it's not going to be too much louder anymore. Sorry, you guys. Hey, my name is Chris. I'm a Christian and a fairly recent subscriber from the bold/beautiful, wild/wonderful state of West Virginia, hills and hollers. Between Keyser, Keyser, West Virginia, and Cumberland, Maryland. To give more context, I live on a fairly large farm of 350 acres that contains around 90 Black Angus cattle and 3 poultry houses of 90,000 plus chickens. I've never noticed anything strange on this property, but his family has had this farm and acreage for many generations, so God knows what they've encountered. They probably would never say anything if they did. We take any dead chickens or other animals almost a mile away up into the woods on the edge of a large field. A place I call the dead zone. All the bones and the stench of death is quite ominous, along with the recent paths I've noticed that go to and from this area. It seems there is one large path along with 2 smaller paths that reach the dead zone, along with some bedding that seems abnormally large for even a coyote. I'm wondering if my presence a few days prior would have anything to do with this encounter. I've seen a few UFOs/UAPs, experienced sleep paralysis, and believe in the supernatural world and the constant war of good versus evil. Good versus evil. But the early morning hours of June 27th started the experience in which I became more familiar and initiated, so to speak, into the world of dogmen, or walking wolves as I call them. A world I don't recommend anyone becoming a part of unless you don't have a say, of course. Then it becomes a part of you. Around 1 a.m. I went out of my car to get something. I don't even remember what it was now. And I first noticed no wind. And not a single cricket, bird, frog, or any other creature making a sound. Usually this time of year in the summer, there's all sorts of insects and large bullfrogs/toads that are all around the little pond and waterfall we have out back. And I found that odd, but kept walking out of the enclosed back porch towards my car. But seconds after I hear what sounds like a large person, and I thought it may be a person walking forcefully yet purposely on 2 feet. I know what deer sound like, especially since it's the most common animal around. It definitely was not. I stopped in my tracks, and I said, "Hey, who's there?" It stopped, then sped up somewhat, but didn't make any other sounds. I could not see exactly where it was, but knew it was in the gravel driveway, which is fairly large. Nothing like the sound of something large late at night on 2 feet stalking around your home with the gravel giving way beneath its weight. I was instantly scared with that unprovoked terror that people talk about, and knew that something was off or wrong, especially since it didn't run away or respond back. People don't just walk around in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, with no respect or fear of what the owners may do. We have guns. Also, I got no smell at the time. I then went outside to get my AR-15, phone, and light. But I found I didn't have enough sense to lock the door, and I didn't have enough hands. I see why people freeze up or don't think to grab their camera to try to get a shot. But I was thinking I may have to shoot all right. I went to the balcony with my gun and light that overlooks the driveway and can see some of the front yard and a good portion of the backyard. And I say, "Who's there?" "You better speak up. I got a gun and I'll use it." This thing has now moved up along the wooden fence line we have that separates us from the woods. As I can hear it going through the dry grass, it was a very dry summer, I shined the light around and only got one glimpse of something hairy, with a large head on 2 legs, hunched over somewhat like a T-Rex, creepily tiptoeing between the large bushes and the fence towards a waterfall that is across from the back porch. I believe that the deafening aspect of absolutely no sounds around was probably a predatory response or a defense mechanism that us humans should not take lightly. The way this creature was positioned when moving, and my weak light didn't allow for much detail, but I did see it was gray, maybe some brown like a coyote or timber wolf, but with no moon out and being behind the bushes, I couldn't see much after that. I would say 6.5 feet if I had to guess, judging from the fence and the bush. It all happened so quickly. All I knew was fight, flight, freeze, or whatever, and I was in fright mode. I did at least leave the porch lights on while making sure the inside lights were off. I went to the guest/TV room that has one window looking out upon the front porch, though I did pull the blinds down. I grabbed my phone, with 9/11 punched in and ready to go, mind you, along with the AR and bunkered down in this room. Never know, this could be the battle of my life. I try to position myself where I can move quick if need be while keeping an eye on the hallway to my right and the front porch window on my left. Within 15 minutes, I noticed something moving around up and down the steps of the front porch along with noises in the backyard still. Whoa. Now it really hits me. There's more than one of these things. For the first 30 minutes to an hour, I was too scared to even get my phone out to try and get video of the noises at least, while having a white-knuckle grip on my gun. The rest of the night off and on, I could hear at least 2 of them stalking the house, even on the front porch, with intelligent intent, but sometimes bumping into things. Other than those things, it was so quiet you could hear a sloth blink. I eventually noticed a banging that sounded 100 plus feet away, but I couldn't be a good judge of sounds outside of any lengthy distance. It could have been at the wood furnace building/shed just 75 feet away. It was like something banging sporadically, then stopping for a bit, then starting again, but with different variations. I think there may have been a third creature trying to lure me outside, as the other 2 were outside around each porch. At least one of them, I believe, was stalking around the door/window, while the other could have looked for any signs of other animals. One more time. At least one of them, I believe, was stalking around the door/window, while the other could have looked for any signs of other animals, people or neighbors, or maybe was just waiting for me to walk outside. This is conjecture on my part. These sounds went from at least 1:30 a.m. to about 5:30 a.m. when it started to get light and the other creatures started to leave. This period is when I tried to capture some of the action or sounds on my phone, and I do have some evidence of these sounds, but it's nothing like being there in the moment, with heart racing and heightened senses. I don't know if you've ever stayed in one spot for 4+ hours other than hunting, but it begins to take a toll. Yes, it does. I practically stayed frozen while being totally aware. I couldn't even go to the bathroom since there was a window right there. I've never had, and pray to God never will have, another experience like this where the fear engulfs your whole body and the environment around. From around 3:15 to 3:30, I did get one smell that I noticed. For you hunters, the smell was like when a deer gets gutted, and you do a whoops and nick the stomach/colon along with a burning sensation of the nostrils and eyes. Think blood plus feces. It slowly crept up to me, and I instantly knew one of them was close. I could hear some heavy breathing or panting along with noises against the wall and the window. The ones against the wall sounded like scratches, like when a cat softly swipes its paws against a toy or something. The sound against the window many times sounded like teeth or claws touching it when it was trying to look in. I felt like I didn't belong here. Like a mixture between being the boy in the bubble, Nightmare on Elm Street, and the dog soldiers where they are stuck in the house. I felt like I was in between 2 worlds/dimensions that paralleled each other, but with no way out till morning. And that's probably pretty accurate, from what we're gathering. Around 5:30 a.m., I heard what sounded like whimpering from the one closest to that window, and noticed the one neighbor we have leaving for work and the light just starting to come. Then a kind of a quick yelp that caused the others to regroup, if I had to guess. I think they knew they're going to have to leave, and that their possible meal was going to stay locked down and loaded. It was a truly unbelievable night that I will never forget. I believe these things are part demonic, part physical/cryptid, part psychological or even emotional even, feeding on fear and awe. Like they want to make themselves known to specific people at a certain time, but sometimes seemingly random, like crossing a road or hunters, for example, and with varying degrees of aggressiveness or power. It's tough to wrap my head around it all, but I know the Lord was with me every step of the way. I guess I just had to go through it, experience it, to be more refined by coming out of the fires of fear with this hellish experience. Now I just stay keenly aware of my surroundings while praying beforehand if I go out even near the woods or anything alone at night. I find that anything worth understanding should be looked through a biblical sense to try and make sense of things more clearly. I wish we could rid the world of these things and wish the government/powers that be would at least tell the truth and inform us about these beasts in our national state parks and even our own backyard. Protect and serve the people. Even though this terrifying experience will forever be solidified into my being, and family and friends don't believe me or even try to understand, I will never forget that night, the night that changed me, and I think maybe into a better person overall. God says we have dominion over animals or beasts of the earth, but that doesn't mean to go out hunting them either. I believe that this is more of a spiritual issue than we could ever imagine. But sorry if I've done enough of my ranting. I have a lot of photos, the next day of the aftermath, of evidence such as things knocked down, holes/scratches in the porch screen, the doggy door almost ripped off, major bedding out back by the pond, and a large track, along with some videos that I've been too scared to go into and edit myself, but I will eventually. Thank you for allowing me to share my encounter, and you can share and edit if you feel the need. I've had at least 2 more encounters that may be of interest to y'all. 1 to 2 being Bigfoot, and now have a lot more pictures, audio, possible hairs, etc. that help verify the past year of strangeness. I'm just trying to be my 100% real self, telling the truth, and thankful for you and your platform that allow many other people to be their real true self while telling their story without ridicule. Thanks again, Chris. You're very welcome, Chris, and thank you for your email. That sounds like a frickin' terrifying experience. You said you're scared to edit your video. You just don't want to look at it again or something? Like I said before, I do not need people to send me any kind of proof of anything in a form of photos or video. I just don't. But if you would like help with it, I can help you. It's up to you. You can send it to me if you wish. If you want to share it or not. And you don't have to edit it either. If you don't want to. I appreciate you, man. Be safe out there. And if it's an AR-15 is what you got for self-defense, I don't know. I mean, I got a couple similar guns, but 300 Magnums are my go-to. I live in British Columbia, though, right? We got some big apex predators running around the forest around here. I don't think I'd some of the rifles I have in the 5.56 NATO round is real tiny when it keeps. I mean, it'd be probably good against bad humans, no problem. But other than that, I think I want something a little heavier myself, which I do have. Here's another email from a man who emailed this picture of the cat from Dillon County, South Carolina. Excuse me. And the DNR swears there are no Black Panthers around. This photo has been emailed into me so many times. A lot of times this past couple days. But that's what I asked for too, and I appreciate it. Every one of you. Just would be really cool to know the actual location. The actual location. Now, who's next? Cat/reptile eyes. Hey Steve, love your channel. And have a strange experience I'd like to share, but not about Sabe or Dogman. I never told anyone about this odd experience, but I've thought about it for 3 years now, and it still bothers me. I did a little bit of research on chat today to help me understand. There's a condition that some people have called Coloboma. Coloboma. The pupil of the eye is shaped like a vertical slit and looks like a cat or a reptile's eye. I've included a photo ChatGPT generated. I worked with a nurse for over 10 years ago that had this condition, but it was extremely obvious to the point of looking like fake contacts. At first I thought this girl just wanted attention, but then someone told me it was a genetic condition. It's fairly rare. Only 1 in 10,000 are born like this. That sounds pretty common, considering the population of the planet. I've never seen that before. That'd be kind of creepy, right at first, until you understood it better. Back in 2022, my father was sick and dying in hospice care. I stayed at his house in a small rural area so that I could be close enough to visit daily and also start cleaning and packing boxes, etc. One day his friends, a couple in their late 60s, came over. They lived a few doors down. I answered the door and saw the wife had a nice care package of food that she made for me. That was the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed was that when I looked at her face, and I always look into people's eyes, I noticed her pupils were vertical slits. I didn't think much of it because I already met a person that had this condition before. No big deal. Just don't stare and make them feel uncomfortable. Then I looked at the husband who I'd met before. He's a retired police officer, and he had the exact same eyes. What? I don't remember seeing them before either. And I would have noticed. According to ChatGPT, the odds of two people with the same condition finding each other and becoming a couple are 1 in 100 million. When I went to return the dishes and thank them for the food, we sat and talked for a while outside. I tried to see their eyes again, but they were completely normal. Weird. That is weird. I started to think maybe they had some sort of condition that depended on light angles or something. But according to Chat, no such condition exists. If you have slits, they always look like that. They seem like very normal people. I stayed in contact with the husband for a while, and being the former police officer, he would check up on the property to ensure nobody's trying to break in. He also informed me of the realtor being a problem. He told me that in the past she would leave doors unlocked and probably wouldn't try very hard to sell the property since it was just a regular home. She was into luxury homes typically. We ended up getting someone else. They both seemed to have really cared about my dad, and everyone that met him loved him too. Even writing that brings a tear to my eye. They both seem very normal and very nice, although I got into a huge political arguments with his wife on Facebook during our last election, to the point of starting to have resentments, even though I remember what she did for me. I also tried looking at their photos on Facebook just now, trying to find decent quality pics, but I can't see the eyes clearly enough. The summary: the odds of having Coloboma, Coloboma, are 1 in 10,000. The odds of meeting two people up and becoming a couple are 1 in 100 million. Their eyes appeared like this one time only. No condition exists where the eyes only sometimes appear to have slits. I don't know what else to say, other than they seem to be perfectly normal. They seem to be perfectly normal. Although the wife likes to stir the pot on Facebook when it comes to politics, just like any typical liberal baby boomer. Haha. I've included the picture of Coloboma. Coloboma. Although you can't imagine what it looks like. Not sure what is going on, if anything at all, but I think about it from time to time and wonder, what do you think it could be? Regards, Chris. Shit, I don't know, man. That's the first I've heard of it. What would you guys do? What would you think? How many of you guys seen this? 1 in 10,000, did you say? All right, so that's fairly common, actually, right? That's actually fairly common. So, who's going to add to that? Throw down in the comment section below or send me some photos, and not of contacts either, because I know there's a bunch of freaks out there that like to put piercings and distort their faces, slice their tongue in half, and do all sorts of weird shit, put horns in their foreheads and stuff. I'm not down with those people myself, teach their own, but if there's someone out there with this, it's called a condition, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Another thing too about the chat thing, you guys, I've ran some tests myself on the chat thing. The thing is very biased, based. and does not tell us the truth about a lot, and also tries to swing you in various directions when it comes to some truths. I've tested it and proven it to not to be very trustworthy when it comes to a fair handful of topics. You'd have to look into it for yourself, though, all right? So I'm just saying, the chat GTP thing isn't the last word in numerous things. It's handy to make up an email or something like that, or handy to make a photo change or a meme or whatever. But as far as getting true answers about life, don't do it. I don't suggest doing it. Don't give much faith to the chat thing. It's programmed by human beings, and it's programmed to give you answers that need to be given to the overall population. Okay? Just so you know. I know that for a fact, all right? Caution. Caution. Anyway. All right. So that's it for today. What am I going to do now? Yeah, my neighbor's, I think he's got his kid in his little pickup truck taking that thing around the property on the round road, bashing the shit out of it, so it's going to drive me a little bonkers. But I've shared quite a bit today anyway, so I'm going to get rocking and rolling. The next time I'm on here, I'll probably be in the woods somewhere in central British Columbia. Actually, I might stop off at my coastal mountain spot tomorrow if I get out of here, and I might go up there and take you for the ride and check some trail cameras before I start the 2-day journey up north solo to go after monster elk, maybe a big bull moose, possibly a stone sheep, mountain sheep maybe. We'll see. Either way, it's going to be quite the adventure. And I'll be back. I'll try to make it back tomorrow. And don't forget, you may want to look into what Candace Owens is. She's ringing an alarm right now, and I believe her to be sincere. So for those who may be interested, you might want to share that around a little bit. You know what I mean? And I'll be back tomorrow. So if I'm not, have a great weekend. Please be safe, be kind, help somebody who needs it, and don't be afraid of anyone. All right? Expose the bad guys and share the truth. Later.
you.